you have to pay for every belt that you win, there's a sanctioning fee. So now if a fighter wins an interim belt, he has to pay a sanctioning fee. If a fighter has just the regular belt, he has to pay a sanctioning fee. Then if a fighter is a super champion, then he has to pay a sanctioning fee. This is not good for the sport of boxing.
Y'all see them though.
The undisputed ruler of boxing has just now been shaken. Less than 3 months after Terrence "Bud" Crawford pulled off the impossible and dethroned Canelo Alvarez to claim the face of the sport, he was stripped of his title. He didn't lose in the ring. He didn't get touched or knocked out. He lost it because he refused to hand over a ransom. The World Boxing Council demanded a staggering $300,000 sanctioning fee from Crawford just to let him keep the green belt he had already earned. When Crawford said no, they took it instantly. But what makes this moment truly explosive isn't the money, it's the reaction across the boxing world.
I'm firmly on Terrence Crawford's side on this one. What do they do? Like, someone needs to tell me what they do. Because ultimately, again, the commission do the majority of things in terms of you put a fight in Vegas, it'll be the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They will appoint the judges. I mean, one thing they do, I guess, is that clean boxing program thing with VADA. But I'm pretty sure, and I stand to be corrected, that it's the fighters that pay for that as well. So what do they do, people, that they think that they can just go and take a percentage of a fighter's purse? Nah. And look, the green and gold belt is, obviously it's very prestigious. For me, it's the best belt in boxing. I sometimes kind of battle with that in the Ring magazine belt. But that doesn't mean you can just take the piss. It really doesn't mean you can do whatever you want to do, that you can just make up a percentage, that you can ask for a fighter for a percentage of their purse. No. And all this as well, like this thing, like surely before a fight, if you are going to take a percentage, surely that has to be written down, contract, lawyered up. Like, I'm surprised if you, that's why it's even more crazy. It's the wild, wild west. Like surely if this is the percentage you're going to take from Crawford, it's okay, Crawford, you know, in order to have this undisputed fight, which is very prestigious, this is the percentage we're taking from you. And Crawford signs it off before the fight's even done. In fact, before his purse is even given to him, that percentage is already removed. The fact that you are waiting on Crawford just to pay you, big WBC for me is wild within itself.
As Crawford goes full scorched earth across social media, vowing to reveal the whole system, another dangerous fighter has stepped in with a reply that feels chilling in its quiet force. Isaac Pitbull Cruz, the warrior who moves like he carries a personal grudge into every fight, was questioned about the scandal, and his response exposes the dark, hidden truth of boxing politics that fans were nenever meant to witness.
Algo que se tiene que cumplir, como el protocolo de antidopaje con VADA, pero bueno, él sabrá por qué no quiso pagar.
To grasp why Pitbull's reaction hits so hard, you first need to feel the level of disrespect Crawford just lived through. This wasn't some polite back-and-forth email. This was a full-on battle. On December 3rd, the moment the news dropped that the WBC had officially stripped Crawford as the super middleweight champion, Crawford didn't wait for anyone's press release. He jumped straight onto Instagram Live, and he was furious. In a rant already turning into legend, he stared straight into the camera and fired a message at WBC president Mauricio Suleiman. He said, "Who do you think I am? You'd better slap yourself."
Him $300,000 plus another 100K something for sanction fees, right? Then he gonna tell me I ain't even apologize. Like, who the fuck you think I am? Boy, you better slap your fucking self. Ain't paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about pay you $300,000. What makes you so motherfucking better than any of the other sanctioned bodies? Huh? Answer that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA? Everybody accepted what I was giving them. But you, the WBC, think that you better than everybody. don't you? So since you, the WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit, the fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free.
Crawford revealed that the WBC wanted him to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, basically for the privilege of holding their leather strap. He refused. He told them, "I ain't paying you nothing." He explained that he offered them a fair fee, the same amount other groups like the IBF and WBO were willing to accept. But the WBC got greedy. They pushed for more. And when the pound-for-pound king refused to be squeezed, they snatched his crown. This brings us to the argument ripping the sport apart. Crawford's main point during his eruption was simple but devastating. We are getting taxed.
It makes sense. I'm the motherfucker that's putting my life on the line, not you. You ain't stepping your motherfucking ass in that ring. You or nobody else. You or nobody else. So why should I have to pay to carry your belt? You should be paying me. If you want to be truthful, you should be paying me. I don't see it. It irks my nerves how this dude gets on a plane, gets a hotel suite. Him and his buddies, they go out to dinner, 5-star meals, all that, you know, and guess who gotta pay for it? Us fighters. We paying for y'all to come out here, have the time of y'all life, stay in the best hotels of y'all life, and it's all done on our dime. It's done on our dime. Do that sound right to y'all? It's crazy, ain't it? We the one out there getting battered, knocked upside our head, and every time we step foot in the ring, we gotta pay them a sanction fee like they the government. We getting taxed. It's crazy.
Think about it. The fighters are the ones putting their lives on the line. They are the ones taking the blows, cutting the weight, and risking permanent brain damage every time they step inside those ropes. Meanwhile, the sanctioning body officials, the men in suits who never feel a punch, are using these massive fees to fly first class, stay in 5-star hotels, and feast on steak dinners paid for by the fighters. Crawford called the green belt a trophy. He highlighted that the prestigious Ring magazine belt, the true symbol of the lineal champion, comes completely free. It stands for greatness, not a bill to pay. By pointing this out, Crawford is treading dangerous ground. He's telling the world that the alphabet belts we worship might actually be empty scams meant to drain fighters' bank accounts.
Made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000, with $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable. Not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route, no response. I wish him the best. But this is not. The WBC is huge, it's great, it's about greatness, and I'm relieved.
So where does Pitbull Cruz fit into all this chaos? Cruz is deep in his own fight week, getting ready to defend his title against Lamont Roach Jr. When reporters cornered him, they probably expected him to either back Crawford or lash out at the system. Instead, Cruz delivered the most soldier-like answer you could imagine. He didn't shout. He didn't complain. He looked the reporter in the eye and simply said, "We have to pay." It was a cold, pragmatic dose of reality. Cruz admitted he respects Crawford's stance, but for him and his team, this is just the cost of doing business. He added, we stay clear of that drama. To Cruz, these fees are just another hurdle, like a southpaw stance or a tricky referee. You don't fight it, you handle it and move on. And that creates a fascinating divide in boxing. On one side, Crawford, the rebel king, ready to burn the system down to protect his money and pride. On the other, Cruz, the disciplined soldier who simply accepts it.
Mauricio, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Because everybody in the world know you was going for Canelo. You was mad that I beat Canelo. It's okay. It happens, you know? But if you a real fan of the sport, you would have, you know, said congratulations instead of having that little smirk on your face, all mad and pouting. But listen though, you should have took the money and you should have been thankful and grateful that I was rocking your belt around as your champion. As your champion, the WBC champion. The undisputed champion at that. But you want to make it about you. You want to say, oh, well, you stripped me. Like, I've been stripped before. The IBF just stripped me when I was at 147. Doesn't matter. I'm still considered the undisputed champion. I'm still the champion in the division. Because you know why? The only belt that's recognizable as the champion is the ring belt, baby. That's the #1 belt in the division. That trumps all belts.
But Crawford's rant went far beyond just money. He leveled a heavy accusation that hints at deep corruption at the very top of the WBC. He openly claimed that Mauricio Sulaiman was furious that he defeated Canelo Alvarez. Here lies the double standard that has everyone buzzing. Canelo held that same WBC belt for 2 full years. For 2 years, he dodged his mandatory challenger, David Benavidez. The WBC did nothing. They let Canelo keep the belt, the fame, and the money. Yet the moment Crawford wins the belt and refuses to pay an inflated fee, they strip him instantly. Crawford asks the question on everyone's mind. Why are the rules different for him? It suggests the sanctioning bodies aren't neutral referees. They are businesses protecting their favorite cash cows and punishing anyone who dares to defy them.
Since Canelo is no longer a belt holder coming into his next fight, a fight that's still expected to make a lot of money due to Canelo's popularity and ongoing contract with Riyadh season, this means that for the first time in 7 years, not a single sanctioning body will benefit from Canelo's earnings. So the sooner Canelo becomes champion again, the better for them. But for the time being, they'll have to rely on Terrence Crawford as their sanctioning fee provider. These sanctioning bodies make a lot of money from Canelo being their champion. Like, why did you think there wasn't any pressure coming from them when Benavidez was Canelo's mandatory? It's because if Canelo lost, then they'll have to rely on Benavidez and his $7 million purses. And if they decide to bully and pressure Canelo, and Canelo says, you know what, screw it, and decides to vacate the belt instead, then it's the same thing. They lose the benefit of a Canelo payday.
Pitbull Cruz didn't stop at the fees. In that same interview, he touched on another topic that casts a dark shadow over modern boxing: the normalization of cheating. He was asked about rival champion Subriel Matias, who recently tested positive for the banned substance Ostarine. Cruz's response to this was far more intense than his take on the fees. He called out the sport for being too soft, pointing out that drug violations are starting to feel routine, almost accepted.
Subriel Matias tested positive for Ostarine. He's the WBC champion. You guys are fighting for the interim. WBC gave him like a year probation. He's still facing that guy Smith in like a month or so. Just what are your thoughts on that he tested positive and no, they're not taking the belt. Doesn't seem to be really facing any consequences. What's your thoughts on that?
Bueno, ¿qué opinas de la falta de consecuencias ante la situación de Subriel Matías, que dio positivo de Ostarina? La Comisión Mundial de Boxeo le dio un probation de un año, pero más allá de eso, él sigue peleando dentro de un mes, no parece que pasa nada. ¿Qué opinas?
Pues es algo que ya no se vuelve limpio y creo que deben de tomar cartas en el asunto para ya ser más estrictos en esta parte, porque al final del día se está convirtiendo ya algo normal que cualquier boxeador lo esté haciendo. Igual con Jenny Beck ya salió igual con la misma o probablemente con la misma dosis, entonces ya tiene que haber alguna sanción más fuerte y ya no debe de haber ningún tipo de porcentaje de tolerancia.
Connect the dots. On one side, you have a sport that will strip a legendary champion like Crawford in an instant over a money dispute. On the other, you have fighters testing positive for PEDs, and the response is often slow, tangled in bureaucracy. Cruz demands zero tolerance for drugs because that actually harms people. But the sanctioning bodies? They seem obsessed with zero tolerance for late payments. It reveals their true priorities, not fighter safety, but the fighter's wallet.
It's free! How you love that? $180,000 free. How much your belt cost? I wonder, how much your belt cost? Huh? I don't see no receipts on your belt. It's crazy. Y'all be having so much taxes on these belts. You got some nerves. It's crazy that you can sit up there and have all these belts. You know, you got the WBC silver, the WBA intern, the whatever belt y'all got, and you taxing these fighters every time they fight, and you claim that you for these fighters. You're not for these fighters. You probably worse than the promoters. But hey, I wish you the best, you know? I wish you the best, you and your company.
So what happens now? The WBC is scrambling to move on quickly. They ordered a fight between Hamza Shiraz and Christian Emili to fill the empty spot. They want a new champion crowned as fast as possible, hoping everyone forgets that the true champion is still undefeated, sitting right there. But even that plan is unraveling. Reports are already coming in that negotiations for the Shiraz versus Emili fight are stalling. The belt hangs in limbo. Its value has evaporated. By stripping Crawford, the WBC didn't damage Crawford's legacy. They destroyed their own. Now, whoever grabs that green belt will know they didn't earn it in the ring. They just paid the fee the real man refused to pay.
We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000, with $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable. Not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route. No response. I wish him the best. But this is not. The WBC is huge, it's great, it's about greatness, and I'm relieved.
Now, Terrence Crawford has drawn a line in the sand, showing he doesn't need any sanctioning body to prove his greatness. Isaac Cruz reveals the other side, the harsh acceptance that in this sport, sometimes you just have to pay the tax to survive. And it leaves us with a question that could reshape boxing's future. If the fans already know who the best fighter is, and the Ring Magazine belt costs nothing, why do we keep letting these organizations demand millions for a piece of green leather? Crawford just proved he's willing to walk away. And if more fighters follow his lead, the entire system could crumble.
President of the WBC, Mauricio Sulaiman, does have a point, because historically it's always been 3%. That's what the fighters play, and that is what it is, and that's what it's always been. Obviously, a fight of this magnitude, which was being billed as Fighters of the Century, $50 million allegedly he got paid for that one. They don't want to take 3% off him. They said let's do 0.6%, which is $300,000. So I understand it, and that's just the way the system is. Don't tell me he's not paid the WBC sanctioning fees before, because he must have. But now what he's saying is, I don't want to pay that, that because I want to, you know, the Ring Magazine are the ones that have got it right. The Ring Magazine obviously is one of the most historic belts and is considered the number one of the 4-belt era, the Ring Magazine, but they don't charge. So that's where he's at, and that's the point he's making. But then how do the WBC then make their money if they don't make commissions off? It's like everyone charges for everything. All the other sanctioning bodies would have charged him as well, whatever that was. So
it would appear to me that there's 5 sanctioning bodies, which would have been the WBC, WBA, the IBF, the WBO, and the Ring Magazine. That's why it's 0.6%. Because if you divide 3% by 5, you get 0.6%. I have very little respect for the WBC and the way they operate. I have very little respect for Mauricio Suleiman. I think they're a hypocritical, disingenuous organisation. But I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with what he said there. And if it is indeed the deployment of those funds go to the well-being of fighters, we can't have an industry that constantly talks about the need to look after its own, and then when it gets to the top end of the tree, the top end doesn't want to pay it down.
What do you think? Was Crawford right to hold on to his $300,000 and toss the belt aside? Or should he have just paid the fee to preserve history? That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss our next videos. And don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video.